Welcome back to the Motivated Savages podcast, where we live bold, lead fearless, and ignite our path forward. If you've been with me through the first 4 episodes, you've walked through my story. The survival seasons, the hustles, the unexpected turns, and the spark that became Motivated Savages. Last week, in episode 4, we took on the challenge of saying yes to the idea that's been tugging at you, the one you've been brushing off. And this week, we're building on it, because saying yes is only the beginning. Once you say yes, you've got to build momentum. You've got to keep moving, even when life is busy, even when you don't feel ready, or when life feels like chaos. That's how growth happens. Not in giant leaps, but in steady steps that stack up over time. So today, we're talking about momentum. How small, imperfect, everyday actions can create extraordinary growth. And how you and I, together, can build it step by step. Let's start here. Momentum is everything. Think about pushing a car. At first, it's the hardest. Your legs are straining and your shoulders are screaming, and the car feels impossible to move. But once those wheels start rolling, everything changes. The same push that felt impossible at the start becomes manageable. The weight doesn't change. Your momentum does. And that's what growth is like. You don't need anything special to move forward. You don't need to know all the steps. You just need to start with one push, one action, one decision that keeps the wheels moving. It's like working out. You don't go to the gym once and walk out with abs. You show up day after day, and your body responds. It's like learning an instrument. The first few notes are rough, but you stick with it, and one day you realize you're playing a song. Momentum is the difference between thinking about change and actually living it. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you create momentum, it starts to carry you. The energy of today fuels tomorrow. The tiny action that feels small right now can make the next step easier. So let me ask you, what's your car right now? What feels heavy, stuck, or impossible? And what's the smallest push you can give it today? Now, momentum doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from rhythm. And rhythm is a word I love because it reminds me that growth has a beat. It's not about rushing. It's not about sprinting until you collapse. It's about showing up consistently and letting your actions fall into a flow. For me, rhythm looked like carving out 20 minutes here and 10 minutes there, jotting down ideas in the car, texting myself thoughts during swim practice, and recording notes at the grocery store so they didn't slip away. It wasn't glamorous, but it was consistent. And consistency beats perfection every single time. You don't need hours. You need rhythm. Maybe that's journaling for 5 minutes in the morning. Or it's 1 chapter a week of the book you've been wanting to write. Maybe it's a walk around the block instead of saying you'll run a marathon someday. Here's the secret. Rhythm fits your life. It doesn't wait for your life to be perfect. And now this is where it gets powerful. Because small actions compound. Think about saving money. $5 here, $10 there. It doesn't look like much. But give it time. And suddenly you've got a cushion. Then a savings account. And then an investment. You can think about swimming. My kids didn't get strong in the water from one race. It was lap after lap, practice after practice. The muscle memory of showing up. Growth works the same way. Every credential I studied for, every time I showed up for HR when the systems weren't built yet, every late night blog post or podcast draft, they stacked. They built on each other. And here's the kicker. Most of the time, you don't even see the growth while it's happening. You look back months later and realize how far you've come. That's the power of the compound effect. Small actions multiplied by time equal transformation. Now, let's keep it real. Growth doesn't look like Instagram posts with upbeat music and highlight reels. Growth looks like showing up in sweatpants, dishes piled in the sink, and saying, I'll work on this for 10 minutes before bed. Growth looks like missing a day, but coming back the next. Growth looks like messy drafts and awkward first tries, and progress no one applauds but you. And that's okay, because the highlight reel isn't the truth. The truth is that growth is unpolished. It's uncomfortable. It's ordinary. But ordinary stacked up becomes extraordinary. So if you've been waiting until life looks perfect, stop waiting. Show up where you are, as you are, and let that be enough to start. One of the most underrated parts of building momentum is celebrating small wins. You finished a workout? Celebrate. You wrote 200 words? Celebrate. You spoke up in a meeting? Celebrate. Because small wins fuel big wins. They keep the energy alive. They remind you that you're not just working, you're progressing. And no, celebration doesn't have to be fancy. Sometimes my celebration is just a deep breath, a smile, or the satisfaction of crossing something off a list. Other times, it's treating myself to a coffee or blasting my favorite song in the car. The point isn't what you do, it's that you notice it. You give yourself credit, because if you don't recognize your wins, your brain forgets them. And momentum thrives on remembering. Now let's talk about the momentum killers, the things that drain your energy and stall your growth. Distractions, comparison, and self-doubt. Distractions look like scrolling TikTok for 45 minutes while your laundry becomes one giant wrinkle pile. Comparison looks like convincing yourself you're behind because someone else is ahead. And self-doubt? That's the voice that says you'll never make it, so why even start? But here's the truth. Distractions can be managed. Comparison can be reframed. And self-doubt can be silenced by action. When you feel your momentum slipping, pause and ask yourself, what's one thing I can do right now that moves me forward, even a tiny step? Momentum isn't about avoiding the killers. It's about refusing to let them win. And finally, I want to say this. Growth has no single timeline. For some of you listening, you're sprinting ahead, already building and moving. But for others, you're at rock bottom, just trying to get through the day. Both are valid, and both are growth. You don't need to match someone else's pace. And you don't need to apologize for your own. The truth is, growth doesn't belong to the overachievers. It belongs to anyone who takes a step, whether that step is a leap or a shuffle. So wherever you are, honor your pace. That's how you'll keep momentum alive. And all of this brings us to this week's Savage Challenge. For the next 7 days, I want you to choose one action every single day that builds momentum. Just one. It could be writing a paragraph or sending an email. Maybe it's taking a walk or reading 10 pages. It could just be making a phone call. It doesn't matter how small. It matters that you do it. And here's the twist. Don't just do it alone. Share your action with someone, a friend, a coworker, a partner, maybe even post it online. Because when we build momentum together, the energy multiplies. This week, let's not just talk about growth, let's live it, one step at a time. I'm Jody Savage, and this is the Motivated Savages podcast. Live bold, ignite your path. That's the Savage way. If this message resonated, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to be reminded that even the smallest step forward is still progress. And if you want to carry this message with you, check out our merch line at motivatedsavages.com. We've designed gear to remind you to live bold every day. Together, we'll keep building the Savage community, a movement of people choosing purpose, growth, and bold living.